Okay, welcome here, everybody. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to get to know what we do and how we do it, and to maybe pick up some leadership, advice, counsel, even education from us on your journey towards home ownership. Homeowner Assist is a privately held company that empowers homeownership through education nationwide. We have mortgage and real estate partners in all 50 states. We also have real estate attorneys that we refer when there's legal counsel needed. We also work with general contractors and specialists throughout the country to help you as a potential homeowner or investor really navigate the roadway of homeownership. And if you do decide to go down the renovation real estate path, today's class will hopefully do that. My name is Russ Fitzpatrick. That's my wife, Carrie, on the right hand side. And we've been working together in the real estate business for more than 25 years. I personally have been licensed as a real estate agent or broker for 33 years. So I have quite a bit of experience in renovation real estate, fixer upper projects, and handyman specials. If you'll spend a few minutes with me, I hope you'll take away some resources that you didn't have when you walked in. And if you really like what we're doing, we may become the guide for you to move through your home purchase, whether it's a foreclosure, an auction, a standard retail purchase. Maybe it's a vacation home or a condo, or maybe it's a really big renovation project like one of the ones we're going to talk about here today. Remember, you don't have to be handy to buy a handyman special. You don't have to have a construction background or any calluses on your hands. I certainly do not participate in much, if any, of the work that's done on these projects. And when you work with certain government insured mortgage lenders, they have products, whether they be government products or conventional lending products, that can help you when you are looking at a renovation lending opportunity. There's a whole world of renovation lending called 203K renovation lending. How does renovation lending work? The first thing is you, as a consumer, need to have some creative imagination. When you see that picture on the right, do you cover your eyes and run away because it just looks like it's a wreck? Or could you see with a little bit of new siding and paint and new windows that that place could be beautiful? Get professional guidance from the right realtor. And I'm going to use the term the right realtor often. It is a national phenomenon that 6% of the realtors do more business than the other 94% combined. So not all real estate agents have the same educational experience or expertise. So pairing you up with the right realtor to get some professional guidance before you write your offer is very important. Make sure that you protect yourself with contingencies like appraisal contingencies and or inspection and repair clause contingencies. Some of these home sellers, whether they be a bank or a government entity that's liquidating, maybe it's a distressed home seller or a family that maybe inherited a home that needs a lot of work. Some of them say the word as is, or they put their product on the market as is, but you still have the right to due diligence. And let me promise you, due diligence is the key. It's the secret to success in all renovation projects. Doing the proper due diligence can make a renovation project really rewarding, and I would say, in my experience, really enjoyable. I want to tell you about some real world, real time renovation case studies. This project's still going on for me and my family in New Orleans, Louisiana. We call this the Who Dat Building Equity. Who Dat Building Equity paid 107 for the house, got about $65,000 in renovation in the house, which brings our total investment to 172. We have a realtor friend in New Orleans that says the place is worth 285. I just got a recent comp that was 325, so that could be up from the 285 mark. But even at the 285 mark, we're talking about $113,000 in instant equity. And remember, you don't have to have your own money. to do one of these projects, you can use a 203K renovation loan, or you can use your own money. I want to proudly say that the project is about 90% done today, leaving that, I think, substantial equity gain as our victory dance on this project. You look at the house on the top right hand corner, they picked soulful blue, which I think is purple. My daughter and my wife picked the color. It's a darn purple house, but the 120-year-old wood floors, the whitewashed pine in the master bedroom, the modern bathroom, the LED television over the fireplace, and all of the aspects of the central air and things that we've done to that house, including the renovation of the backyard, I think has made the house a much more livable, enjoyable uh, product to be put on the market. And that's what renovation real estate is all about. It's about taking something that's not marketable or less than attractive and making it your dream home. Or if it is a flip project, there's certain restrictions about your loans. If you take out a loan, are you allowed to flip it? If you use your own money, how fast can you flip it? All those kinds of things. But one more project I want to brag about. We call this one Big Sister Big Money. Uh, my wife's sister paid $1 million for a house in Pompano Beach. So far, they've got about $450,000 into the project, which brings their total investment close to $1.5 million. But I'm going to tell you what, guys, this is big sister, big money renovation real estate. Most of the realtors that we've talked to in the last 90 days have said that it's about a 2 to 2.2 project, meaning the finished project is worth between 2 million and 2.2 million. So if you split that down the middle, you're talking about $600,000 in instant equity. And for most of us, that would take 10 years to acquire $600,000. And that's just an instant equity position made in about 11 months. 600,000 in 11 months. Another renovation real estate case study we did as a family in Franklin, North Carolina. I love the Smoky Mountain National Park region. So whether you were going to use your own money or you were going to use a 203K renovation loan, there are restrictions when a lender is involved, and you need to be aware of all those before you go into it. But if you had your own money, or if you were going with a renovation loan, you're talking about a renovation vacation. We wanted to be in the Smoky Mountain National Park region anyway, so we paid $90,000 for a house. We've got about $30,000 into the repair and renovation budget, bringing the total to $120,000. The realtor that we had over said it was easily $140,000. So a conservative estimate in our uh, pocket would be about $20,000 in instant equity. And I could see that growing over time with a few of the other projects we're looking to bring to the table. It sounds silly, but I think YouTube is like the new Encyclopedia Britannica. I mean, it used to be when we were kids, we'd just go to the encyclopedia, whatever we needed to learn about, and it was right there at your fingertips. Today, it's the same, but it's on YouTube. So, you see a quick search of renovation real estate on YouTube, and it spits out literally hundreds and hundreds of videos where you can kind of gain the insight and experience of renovation real estate. But remember, some of the TV shows leave out the granular details. Some of the TV shows and video YouTubers, they're not as detail oriented as you might need to get in your due diligence, and we're going to talk about that today. But with great respect to this phenomenon created by HGTV, the Property Brothers, the Good Bones Girls, some of the new fix and flip programming, and then last but not least, our personal favorite, Chip and Joanne Gaines with the Fixer Upper program. You're talking about an opportunity for you to kind of understand this marketplace a little bit. So we're going to start out with this video.
We're looking for a home in the city.
We want old Victorian homes with nice high ceilings.
4 spacious bedrooms.
We want it all, and hopefully we can do it.
Yeah.
But this is one of those cases where the wish list doesn't match the reality of budget. Buying a fixer-upper is the only way they're going to get their dream home.
The master suite is just unbelievable. Like, that's our dream bedroom.
Oh, I love this. I want it.
This beautiful home is listed at $1.3 million. Yep.
What are you doing to us, Drew?
I saw the moment when their heart broke.
I actually feel sick.
Think of it like a blank canvas.
Oh my God.
Don't be afraid. Lots of potential. We've developed a state-of-the-art technology to help people see that their dream home is only one ultimate renovation away.
Wow, I love that.
And we would blow this all open. We'd put a couple of beams in. This is a load of work. Welcome home.
Oh my God. It is stunning.
What? Wow. This is great.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
This has really changed our life.
So, when you're thinking about doing a renovation project, the expertise that the Property Brothers or Chip and Joanne bring to the table is crucial. It's about due diligence, it's about a partnership, and it's about planning for unforeseen eventualities. It's very important that you, as a potential real estate investor or a first-time home buyer who's thinking about taking on a renovation project, realize that there's the reality that there's some things that you can't see behind some of the walls and roofing trusses and or ceiling rafters that you may not see going in, and there's risks that are involved. One of the things that is advantageous of working with a renovation lending partner is that you could actually um, go out, pick a geographic territory based on school systems or subdivisions that you like, and uh, find uh, a project that would allow you to build your dream home instead of moving into someone else's design. And the result of these renovation projects sometimes is the creation of instant equity. There are risks that I want to forecast for a renovation purchase at $110,000 with $100,000 renovation budget looks like a 210 easy does it. So then when you have the realtors or the appraisers tell you what the future approved and repaired value will be, they're forecasting 250. So there's a perceived $40,000 equity in that project or instant equity. There are risks that sometimes you find after the fact, uh, after the purchase is made, even with good due diligence, some plumbing concern that was unforeseen, some termite damage that was not discovered, some structural problem, and those risks are inherent to renovation projects. You need to be aware of that. But whenever you're weighing risks and rewards, you have to, as a business person, consider the upside and the potential downside. This particular project was a farmhouse on acreage, and it was bought for under $110,000. There was a solid $135,000 renovation budget constructed in due diligence, and now this property is sitting beautifully at $350,000 in the marketplace, and that is, a very substantial equity gain in the before and after. You didn't see those pillars down the right hand side. You didn't see the new windows. You didn't see the new roof, and that's why it cost $110,000 or more to renovate this house. But if you see an extra, 40, 50, $60,000 in equity built, that's a fun place to start your home ownership from. Renovation loans are simply the act of purchasing a property or even refinancing your existing property. So let's say you have a home, you've been in for 20 years, 30 years, it's just not what you want it to be, you're allowed to renovate your existing home by refinancing your current mortgage. The beauty of a renovation loan, in my opinion, is that you're able to roll in the costs of the renovation or the rehab so that you end up with one loan product at the end. Now, let's talk about this for just a moment before we decide if a renovation loan is appropriate for you. Um, Number one, there's certain credit restrictions, there's certain income requirements, there's certain, debt to income ratios that you can't go above. But in theory, and in best case scenario, they appraise the house for what it will be worth, not what it's currently worth. So you have a third party expert come in, and that third party expert takes a look at the existing home, takes a look at the renovation proposed, and then forecasts on your behalf and on behalf of the lending institution what the future appraised value may be at the end of the project. Then the bank, the lender, the person who's taking all the risk, putting up all the money, um, underwrites the loan based on the future appraised value. Now, that's a big deal. And I'm going to tell you why it's a big deal. Because all through the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even the early parts of 2000s, only cash buyers could do these projects. You could not get a loan to save your life. In fact, I sold real estate in the 80s and 90s, and if the house didn't have a refrigerator, air conditioning system, clear termite, if it didn't have appliances, if it had any structural problems whatsoever, you couldn't get a loan on it. So you'd go to what's called a hard money lender to take an excessive interest rate, usually 4 or 5 times the going interest rate, and then they'd usually have some upfront points, like 2 or 3% of the loan amount that you'd have to pay up front. So if you're taking out a $200,000 loan, you might have to give them an additional 8 grand just to get the loan. It could be as much as $10,000 up front just to get the loan. Well, these are government insured renovation loans. So the lender, you might be putting up, say, 10% of the home, and the lender might be putting up 90%. So who's taking on more risk? The lender's taking on significantly more risk than you are. You're only putting down sometimes 10% or less. In a government renovation loan, you might even be able to put it as low as 3.5% of your own money. And then some products you put in 20% of your own money. But now here's the bank putting in 96.5% of the money. Here's the bank putting in 90% of the money, or up to maybe 80% of the money. You get the equity. They get the interest on the loan. Don't worry, they're not hurting, but they are taking on more of the risk. And the reason I think renovation lending is important for the real estate community in 2019 and beyond is that, in fact, the average person now, the average home buyer like me and you, the average Joe buying his first home or his second home can, in fact, take advantage of these instant equity opportunities because the banks have started to build products that match this. And I think it's a big deal. So, in example one on your screen, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you could put 3.5% down on a home and end up with an extra $10,500 in equity, that's a big check. I mean, that's a big equity swing for a consumer who's buying their own primary residence. A littler project with a little bit more equity. Example two, $135,000 purchase with $66,000 in renovation budget. The after improved value being $235,000. You're talking about instant equity of $33,600. These are not small pennies. The trick, like I said in the beginning, and I think why Joanne Gaines has become like the darling of real estate in the most recent years, is she has vision. She has a compelling vision for what that can look like. Now, this is an average renovation project with a somewhat compelling vision, but they didn't spend 40 grand on this kitchen. This is probably a 12 to $15,000 renovation, maybe up to 20. But look at what it was on the left versus what it is on the right. It's a much more functional, more modern, timely, relevant kitchen space. This was a loft in one of the projects that our mortgage partner funded. And in that loft, there was very little vision for what the left side of the uh, you know, loft could look like. And now, over the course of a little bit of drywall and a little bit of lighting, a little bit of flooring, maybe a $12,000 renovation, you've gotten a useful loft out of that opportunity. These are some of my favorites because these old farm style houses, you'd be surprised how inexpensive the siding is. Some of the siding can be repaired and repainted. For example, in our New Orleans Hudat building equity project, we used the existing siding. We had to replace maybe 100 boards on 1,100 boards that were available. We were able to salvage 90% of the boards. So look at the new windows that went in on the right hand side and the front door and just the lighter, brighter look of the place. And I'm not even sure if in that before and after they even replaced that roof. I think that might be the existing roof. One more example, more rural Pennsylvania, outside of the city, kind of a farmhouse look. Just that little um, touch above the windows on the right. The new two windows instead of four windows, closing off that upstairs and making it an enclosed room, adding or they may have even used the same windows there, right? So you've gotten a feel. A lot of it was paint, a lot of it was trim, and you've got this newer home feel. And that particular house, I happen to know, brought in about a $60,000 instant equity position. So they're not always um, on the MLS. Some of these products, some of these homes are owned by HUD, the Housing and Urban Development. Some of them are owned by a bank and they use an auction to sell the house. And some of them are listed with realtors in the local MLS. But there is a big myth that these auctions and these foreclosures are reserved for cash buyers. And there's this attitude from the middle American that says only the rich can get richer. And I want to dispel that myth for you because since the crash of 2007, 8, and 9, most of the banks, most of the government owned real estate is actually incentivized, meaning there's a preference for the home seller to find an owner occupied buyer. Okay. So dumping residential real estate into the investor pool is no longer the preferred methodology of banks or government institutions. You simply make a standard mortgage application. You are run through what feels like a proctologist exam. It is a very in-depth investigation into your credit, your income, your deposits, your any late payments that you've made, if you've ever filed bankruptcy, if you've ever had any credit judgments on you. They're going to do a thorough investigation, and it is going to take, probably between 2 and 6 weeks before you are approved for a loan. And that's even if you have a 775 credit score. They're still going to do a deep dive. If you have a 620 credit score, they're going to do a deeper dive. Okay. And they want to know where that deposit came from. They're going to want to know why that withdrawal was made on that date. And why are you how did you put $4,000 in your bank account? And where did that come from? It's going to feel like a it's not a pleasant experience. But I can tell you that the best mortgage bankers in the country will have a high level of customer service with you, and we have the best renovation lending division that I know of available to you. Uh, They will go through your finances with you over the phone, and only if there's what they call a pre-qualified verbal, then you will authorize them to pull your credit. They'll ask you for a list of bank statements and or uh, tax returns. And during the next 2 weeks, you will be investigated and verified and re-verified. And we need the next month's bank statement and the last pay return, pay stub. All that stuff will happen. It's just no way to get around it in American mortgage lending. Then you would go out with a realtor that we assign to you or a favorite realtor of yours that we could make contact with and explain what we're trying to accomplish here. We work as an advocate between you, your realtor, and your mortgage company. We look at active listings in the MLS service to compare and contrast your wants and needs. We can find estate sales. These can be very important. Probate cases and even divorce liquidation can come into play when you're looking at buying some real estate and establishing some instant equity. There are government and bank owned houses for sale, probably in your market today. And you may never even know that they were there if you weren't working with the right realtor, because the average realtor just goes to the MLS and does a search. The right realtor may know of alternate sites that they can go to find bank owned properties. There's lists of government owned properties in almost every market. And there are live auctions going on today. Absolutely 100% real world, real time auctions going on today in your market. But your average realtor might not even know about the auctions. Your average buyer certainly doesn't know about them. So it's important that you work with the right realtor and you get with the right lender that has the right products. If you ask me, if you're looking to proceed, there is no obligation, there's no cost. We provide free support and what I think is substantial expert leadership for you. We are typically in a business affiliate relationship with the realtors or a business affiliate relationship with the mortgage bankers. So they pay us a small fee wherever allowed by law. We disclose any of those fee structures to you in the uh, during all the due diligence so that you're never surprised that we got a small check for having referred you to a mortgage company or a realtor in your area. That's how we fund this project. We register you with Homeowner Assist by calling either 844-4RE-ASSIST. You can email at support at homeownerassist.org. You can dial our local number, 856-441-2074. And again, reach out to us by support at Homeowner Assist. But I would encourage you to register with Homeowner Assist now because there's nothing to lose. You could never be obligated to anything. There's no cost and there's no obligation. And all of the support and leadership that we provide is in an effort to match you up with the right mortgage partner and the right realtor. I would encourage you to do due diligence on the house, maybe even be able to bring in a general contractor, certainly a licensed inspector, air conditioning repairman, and get all your stuff in a row before you close on the house because you have that opportunity to do due diligence with your realtor, with your general contractor, with your uh, air conditioning person, your termite person, if you bring in a carpenter, whatever estimates that you need to acquire, you acquire before you're obligating yourself to close on the property. And that's going to give you an opportunity to, use that uh, the secret to success in renovation lending, which is really just concerted due diligence. So my name is Russ Fitzpatrick. I run Homeowner Assist. You can reach out to us via telephone or email if you'd like to register with us as a consumer. It would be our pleasure to introduce the right realtor or the right mortgage partner for you in your local market. And again, we're here to help. Thanks so much.